Hi folks, this is Karim Raouf from IT Visualizer channel. We will continue our lab, the Matrix Labs, the video number 34. I've been discussing in the previous video. The following, we have been talking about a report called Testmo, which is created using PowerShell commands, and the output of this report is in HTML format. This report will run 644 tests that will give you a general view about the Active Directory health and the Active Directory security and the Active Directory disaster recovery preparation. So this report will give you an overview of all of these things concerning the Active Directory. So for example, one of the things that this report focus on is to back up your Active Directory database, which is very, very good when you are planning for a disaster recovery plan for your Active Directory. This is the first thing this report focus on. And the second thing is focusing on the health of the Active Directory, which is normally done by tools like DCDiag and RipAdmin. So he uses these tools and get the output of these tools and put it in a very, very organized output and with some graphs. So it also gives you a general view about the health of your domain controllers and the Active Directory replication or Active Directory replication of the database, of course. And then it also focuses upon the security of the Active Directory by running a couple of or checking a couple of options and registry keys and things related to the security of the Active Directory. He will check them and see if they are enabled or not, or disabled or not. For example, one of the things also related to the security of your Active Directory is to check if you are using secure protocols to communicate with the Active Directory. For example, if you are using LDAP or LDAP-S, okay, these are all things this report will test. So in the previous video, we have an overview about this report, who has created it, what are the tests that are done by this report, the background on how this report appeared to the world, or how it was created, the steps for creating this report, which are combined efforts of previous or combined efforts of a large number of people. So this guy has taken the combined efforts of previous guys working on testing Active Directory health and security of the Active Directory. So we have done all of these, or done of this report based on previous efforts of previous people. Okay, so let's see today how we can rectify the findings of the Testamo report. We have seen before that the report is divided into 4 tabs. The first one is the summary, which is summary of all of the findings in a very, very organized and short way. And then he begin explaining each of his findings in the summary in a little bit of a detailed manner and in different or he is categorizing his findings in a different way. So summary, it is all of the report, or all of the findings of the report in a summary in short way. Then he begin categorize his findings in 3 ways. First, he's putting his findings concerning the forest as a whole. If you have multiple domains, then he is scanning the forest as a whole and getting his findings concerning the forest, and then the domains, if you have, or you need to focus on a certain domain, and then the domain controllers in certain domains. So you can see the findings related to the forest in general, or to certain domains in general, or certain domain controllers in certain domains. So let's see the first finding here. He's saying that I didn't back up my Active Directory, and he's saying that the backup should be done every 24 hours. So here he's having a command, and this is very, very useful one. You can use it in your environment to make sure that the Active Directory database was backed up. He's saying here that this test merely checks or it doesn't it doesn't verify the backup, nor provides information if the backup was saved to proper place and we available for restore operation. This test merely checks what was reported by Active Directory, that backup did happen. You should make sure that your backup that your backup and, more important, restore process actually works. So as we can see here, this is the findings. Here is the things that I didn't back up. This is my Active Directory database partitions. All of them are not backed up, and the last time they were backed up from 147 days. So we will ask the Active Directory we will ask the AI tools to provide us steps to back up our Active Directory database. Simply, we can back up our Active Directory database using third-party backup solutions like Veeam or Veritas or similar tools. We need to back up our Active Directory database. The Active Directory database is or how we can back it up by backing up the system state of our domain controllers. What are the system state? These are very important system files that without it, the operating system of the domain controller or any workstation operating system will not work. So these are important system files that should be backed up. So you need to point your backup solution to back up the system state of the domain controllers, which contain the important system files that without it the domain controller will not work, or the operating system of the domain controller will not work. And actually the system state includes the Active Directory database. So we will see how we can back up our Active Directory database using a tool called Windows Server Backup, which is included with the Windows Server operating system. Okay, we will not use third-party tools because we don't have any license or something, but we will use an available tool which is already included with the Windows Server operating system. So let's see how we can do that. Before that, I have asked Perplexity to give me the steps for doing that. And as you know, Perplexity is very good searching tool. It is more accurate and more effective than the Google search. So we can see, for example, here is giving you screenshots how we can do that. For example, he have already know, or have already deducted, or not deducted, he have already forecasted that I will use the Windows Server Backup feature. We will see how we can install the Windows Server Backup and use it to back up our Active Directory database. And then we can see here is a couple of videos how this can be done, and these are a summarization or some steps to summarize all of this content. Okay, so let's see first the answer of Perplexity, and then we will see the answer of ChatGPT 4o, and also we will see the answer of Claude 3.5. So first of all, let's read it loudly.
Backing up the Active Directory database. Importance of backing up Active Directory. Active Directory, AD, is the core of a Windows network, storing critical information such as user accounts, group policies, access controls, and other crucial data. Regularly backing up the AD database is essential to ensure the availability and integrity of your directory services in case of system failures, data corruption, or other disasters. Methods for backing up Active Directory. There are several ways to back up the Active Directory database. 1. Using Windows Server Backup. Open the Windows Server Backup console and select Local Backup. Choose the Backup Schedule option to set up a regular backup. Select Custom Backup Configuration and include Active Directory under System State. Configure the backup destination, either a dedicated drive or a network location. Start the backup process. 2. Using System State Backup. The System State Backup includes the Active Directory database, DNS information, the sysfile directory, and other critical system components. You can perform a System State Backup using Windows Server Backup or other enterprise backup solutions. The System State Backup can be used to restore the entire Active Directory environment in case of a disaster. 3. Using third-party backup solutions. Enterprise backup software, such as Veeam, Commvault, or Veritas, provide advanced features for backing up and restoring Active Directory. These solutions often include native Active Directory agents that leverage the underlying APIs to ensure a consistent and reliable backup. Third-party backup tools may offer additional features like granular restore, incremental backups, and off-site storage options. Best practices for Active Directory backups. Schedule regular backups. Perform backups at least daily or even more frequently for environments with frequent changes. Store backups securely. Keep your Active Directory backups in a secure location, such as an isolated network, cloud storage, or other secure storage solutions. Test and verify backups. Regularly test your backups by restoring them in an isolated environment to ensure the integrity and recoverability of the data. Consider authoritative restores. In some cases, you may need to perform an authoritative restore to reset the replication state of the Active Directory environment. By following these best practices, you can ensure that your Active Directory environment is properly backed up and can be restored in the event of a disaster or data loss. 4. Share.
So as we can see here, these are the steps to back up the Active Directory. As you can see here, there is a lot of resources. You see here, if you need to see the resources concerning this topic, okay, here you can see a lot of things. You can go and see the different resources to back up your Active Directory. Very, very useful. So let's go and see the answer of ChatGPT 4o. If we go like that and ask it to give us the steps, here you can go and go like that, and then ask it to read it loudly.
Backing up Active Directory, AD, is a critical task for ensuring the integrity and availability of your organization's directory services. Here are the steps to perform a backup of Active Directory using Windows Server Backup. Prerequisites. Administrative privileges. Ensure you have administrative privileges to perform backups. Windows Server Backup feature. Install the Windows Server Backup feature if it is not already installed. Backup storage. Ensure you have sufficient storage space for the backup on a separate volume or network location. Step-by-step guide. Step 1. Install Windows Server Backup. If not installed, open Server Manager. Click on Manage and select Add Roles and Features. In the wizard, click Next until you reach the Features section. Scroll down and check the Windows Server Backup feature. Click Next and then Install. Wait for the installation to complete. Step 2. Open Windows Server Backup. Open Server Manager. Click on Tools and select Windows Server Backup. Step 3. Start the Backup Wizard. In the Windows Server Backup console, click on Local Backup in the left pane. Click on Backup once in the right pane under the Actions menu. Step 4. Choose Backup Options. In the Backup Once wizard, choose different options and click Next. Select Custom under select Backup Configuration and click Next. Step 5. Select Items for Backup. Click on Add Items. In the Select Items dialog, check the System State option. This includes all necessary components to restore AD, such as the system volume, the AD database, sysvol, etc. Click OK and then Next. Step 6. Specify Backup Destination. Choose where you want to store the backup. Local drives. Select a local drive that is different from the drive where Windows is installed. Remote Shared Folder. Select this option to store the backup on a network location. Click Next after selecting the destination and providing necessary details. Step 7. Confirm and start backup. Review the backup settings on the confirmation page. Click on Backup to start the process. Step 8. Monitor the backup process. Monitor the backup progress in the Windows Server Backup console. Once the backup is complete, you will see a message indicating the success or failure of the operation. Verifying the backup. Go to the location where the backup was stored. Check the backup logs in the Windows Server Backup console to confirm the backup completed successfully. Scheduling regular backups. Optional. In the Windows Server Backup console, click on Backup Schedule in the right pane. Follow the wizard to set up a regular backup schedule to ensure regular backups of Active Directory. Important notes. Always store backups in a secure location to protect them from unauthorized access. Consider off-site backups for disaster recovery. Regularly test your backups by performing a restore in a test environment to ensure they are working correctly. By following these steps, you can effectively back up your Active Directory environment and ensure the availability and integrity of your directory services.
So as we can see here, this answer is very good. If we go to Claude, we will see the same answer. Just a moment. If we go there, we will see that he is giving us the same answer actually like ChatGPT. And then there is a couple of things concerning uh, the Active Directory uh, backup. For example, there is a lot of things here, backup and restoring Active Directory. If we go to there, we will see there is a link. If we open it here concerning the findings, if we go there, here is explaining the backup and restoring of Active Directory server. This a link by Microsoft, okay, saying or discussing the topic of backing up and restoring Active Directory. If we go and ask ChatGPT to summarize this or summarize this page, if we go there and ask it to do something here, okay, so this is like a summarization of what is how to backup and restore Active Directory. This is very also good thing we need to focus on and see the backup of Active Directory. Let's ask it or something here. Okay, I think it doesn't say much. It does say the same concerning or saying the same steps. So let's see, okay, how we can do this in a practical way. So we have seen the answer of ChatGPT and Claude is the same. So we need to go and see how this is done in a practical way. So let's go and see that. If you go there and see how this is done, just wait for a moment. So we will do this from our primary domain controller. We will install the Windows Server backup feature and then use it to back up our Active Directory database. So this is also one thing here, guys. This is a video, but it is in Arabic. Okay, explaining how you can back up Active Directory and restore Active Directory. This is for engineer Mahmoud Yassin. Okay, his YouTube channel is called Easy Networking, but this is very simple, even though it's in a different language, but it's very simple to follow. Okay, he will show you how you can back up the Active Directory using the Windows Server backup. You can back up the Active Directory using command prompt. You can do that, and how to restore it. There is a couple of restore options when you are working with Active Directory. There is authoritative restore and non-authoritative restore. As for the backup, this can be done in the normal mode of Windows, but if you need to restore, or the normal mode in Windows, if you need to restore the Active Directory database, you need to be in a mode called Directory Service Restore mode. It's like something like the safe mode in Windows. If you need to restore the Active Directory database, you need to be in a special mode called Directory Service Restore mode. To access this mode, you need to access it with a special password for the Directory Service Restore mode. This is done, or you configure this password when you initially, or the first time that you install the Active Directory services, okay, or when you are installing the Active Directory services and promoting the server to be a domain controller. This is when you install or you configure the DSRM. when you install Active Directory domain services and then promote the server to be a domain controller, will be asked to provide a password to access the directory service restore mode. So all of these is discussed in Engineer Mahmoud Yassin video, and you can ask, for example, here if we go and ask ChatGPT to give us, here we go, if we go like that and ask it to give us the command, okay, I need a command prompt to back up Active Directory database on the domain controller. You will see that there is a couple of things here, or there is certain commands you can do. Okay, here is the command: web admin start system state backup target. You will target to a certain drive quite. Okay, so this is the command. As you can see here, this is a command that you can do and execute the command. He's giving you the steps to do that, and then here you go. You need to have sufficient permissions, and this is as simple as that. You need to make sure when you are restoring the Active Directory database to make sure you have the password of the SRM mode. So if you need to access the SRM mode, you need to remember the password to access this mode. If you do not remember it, because this is configured or initially configured when you first installed the Active Directory or configured the Active Directory, maybe this is from a few years ago, so you can reset the DSRM password before going through this mode to restore the Active Directory database. So let's see, I need a command to reset DSRM password of Active Directory and password, and give a brief about it. Okay, let's see how he will respond. So okay, let's see the answer of ChatGPT concerning this. What is DSRM? Okay, and how to reset the password of the SRM.
To reset the Directory Services Restore Mode DSRM password on a domain controller, you can use the ntdsudo utility. The DSRM password is used when booting a domain controller into Directory Services Restore Mode for maintenance or disaster recovery purposes. # steps to reset the DSRM password. 1. Open Command Prompt as administrator. Press WinX and select Command Prompt Admin or Windows PowerShell Admin. 2. Run the ntdsudo utility. Follow these steps to reset the DSRM password. cmad ntdsudo set DSRM password reset password on server null. Enter new DSRM password. Confirm new DSRM password. Quit. Detailed steps. 1. Open Command Prompt as administrator. Press WinX and select Command Prompt Admin or Windows PowerShell Admin. 2. Start the ntdsudo utility. Type ntdsudo and press enter. 3. Set DSRM password context. Type set DSRM password and press enter. 4. Reset password. Type reset password on server null and press enter. You will be prompted to enter the new DSRM password and then confirm it. 5. Exit the utility. Type quit and press enter twice to exit the ntdsudo utility. Example: cmdc ntdsudo set DSRM password, reset DSRM administrator password, reset password on server null. Please type password for DS Restore Mode Administrator account. Please confirm new password. Password has been set successfully. ntdsudo quit, ntdsudo quit. Brief explanation of DSRM. Directory Services Restore Mode, DSRM, is a special boot mode for domain controllers that is used for maintenance and recovery of Active Directory. In DSRM, the domain controller runs as a standalone server without any network services. This mode is typically used for performing tasks such as restoring Active Directory from a backup, repairing or troubleshooting issues with Active Directory, resetting the DSRM password if it is forgotten. The DSRM password is set during the promotion of a server to a domain controller and is critical for recovery operations. It's important to keep this password secure and accessible to authorized personnel who might need to perform recovery operations.
And one of the things IT auditors focus on to change this password regularly because it is almost forgotten by all of the IT administrators. You need to focus on resetting or changing this password manually every year, for example, and to give it a strong password, for example, 20 characters or so. So this is you need to go to DSRM mode if you need to restore the Active Directory database. So let's see how we can back up our Active Directory. We have seen a couple of videos, or if you need to see in details how you can back up the Active Directory and restore it, you can go to this video and see it, or you can go and see the Perplexity answer. Here you can see, just go to Perplexity and ask it to how to back up Active Directory database. You need to make sure they are opening the Pro version of Perplexity to give you more answers or more search results concerning this topic. Okay, so let's see how we can back up the Active Directory database. So as you can see here, this is the thing that I was talking about, how you can back up the Active Directory using database using command prompt. And the same I have already shown you, or how we can reset the DSRM password. Okay, and all of this is already done. So let's go and do that. Okay, let's continue, guys. Okay, let's go. You need to check the dashboard to see if any services are not running. By the way, the inter-site messaging service is not working because I don't have a lot of sites. I have only one site in the Active Directory, so it's normally stopped. If there is more than one site, you will see this service running. So it is automatically stopped. You can start the service. So add roles and features, then next. Then we can go and tell him next. It's a feature. It's not a role, it's a feature. So now we can tell him Windows Server Backup. Then we can tell him to restart the destination server automatically if required. Then install. Then we can wait until the backup is finished. As you can see here, we are going the same steps as stated by ChatGPT 4o. We have already done the same steps. So now it is installed. Now we can open the tools and the Windows Server Backup, or we can add the Windows Server Backup to our custom console. Okay, so now we can add remove snapping. Then we can add the Windows Server Backup console. This is local on this computer. Then OK. And then we will click on local backup. Then when we right click, we will see, as we can see here, we are following the steps local backup. Then we will have once or backup once. As we can see, very detailed steps and very simple to follow. Okay, right click. We need to wait for a couple of minutes, not a couple of seconds. Okay, then we can see here it is backup once, or you can right click there and tell him to backup once or schedule backup as you wish. Right click, backup once. We will do that only once. Different options. Then here is something we need to focus on. Full backup will take a full backup of all of the server partitions, C and D partition. We only need to take backup of the C partition. If I have the choice to do that, I need the C partition which contains the operating system and the system state and all of the necessary and important files of the operating system, including the Active Directory database. So we need to tell him custom and only take the C partition. If you are going to do that, the C partition will contain the system state as well, or I think you need to choose the C and the system state. Okay, so the system state is separated from the C partition. You need to back up the C partition. This is good, and take the system state as well. As for the full backup, it will take C and D. So this is not what we intend to do. Here we can see local drive. I put it on my local drive. Okay, for example, on the D partition. And it is good to have an external hard disk, or maybe put it on a network share. This will be much easier, or to be centralized. Okay, so put it on your file server, for example, the backup on your file server, or you can put it locally. So this is your choice. Then some put on external hard disk, but make sure if you have an external hard disk, make sure that it is blank or doesn't contain any data, because the Windows Server Backup will format the external hard disk, okay, and then begin using it as a backup destination. And take also one note: the external hard disk will not appear on your operating system. So if you open this PC on this server and try to see your external hard disk, it will not appear, because once it is attached to your server and the backup utility or Windows Server Backup utility sees it and format it and use it as a backup this destination, it will remove the drive letter of this partition, so you will not be able to access it. You can see it from the disk management utility on the server, but you will not be able to access it. This is like a security feature. It helps, or the Windows Server Backup will hide the partition, so viruses or malware will not be able to find or to access the partition. So make sure that if you have an external hard disk that will be your backup destination device, make sure it is blank or it doesn't contain any data, because the Windows Server Backup will format the external hard disk and it will remove the drive letter of this hard disk, which will make it unaccessible through this PC or through the Windows Explorer. If you need to access it, you need to go to the disk management and give it a drive letter so you can access it. Okay, this is a security precaution done with the Windows Server Backup utility, just to make sure the partition is not accessed by any malicious virus or malware. Okay, so here, for example, when I tell him to put the backup on the D, we will see a strange message saying that if we go like that, we will see that the selected volume is also included in the list of items to backup. So he will backup C and D. Okay, so how this is possible to take backup of C and D and put the backup files on the D? This is not correct. So he will exclude the D partition, which means he will take the C partition and the other files, he will take them backup and put them on the D partition. Okay, so this is one thing. We need to exclude this from the backup items. So as we can see here, you see there is a lot. Here is the things that he will take backup of. He will take the AFI system partition. This is very good. This contains the boot files, and another partition also contains some important boot files for the operating system. And you will take the C partition and the system state and the bare metal recovery. This is good. Take all of these, okay, as a backup, and this is very good. Okay, you take it and put it on local partition, okay, or local partition, or network drive, okay, or on a network share, or on an external hard disk. Okay, so now we will cancel, and this is the way how you can backup the Active Directory database. You need to make this backup on a schedule or on regular intervals or regular basis, to make it, for example, every day, okay, every 24 hours, as the recommendation of the testimony report says, to make it every 24 hours. Okay, so this is good. Now we can, after finishing the backup, we need to run the command that is in the Testamo report to make sure that we have successfully backed up, or to have this point cleared from the Testamo report. So if we go and see the Testamo report, we will see a certain command that will check if the backup of the Active Directory is done. So after making the backup, we need to run the command again to make sure that the Testamo report will make this point successful. Again, some points we have seen here, we need to have the backup off-site, or to put certain, or to make more than one backup copy, to put one locally on the hard disk, one on the cloud, one on an off-site location. Okay, so this is good. Okay, now we need to go to the command prompt, and then I think we need, okay, by the way, you can, okay, this is the command prompt to run the backup of the Active Directory database using the command prompt, not the GUI or the graphical interface. Now we can get this command and run it and see the result, or the returning result of this command. So now we can go and run this, right click through the PowerShell, through the PowerShell, okay, yes, and then put the forest name, matrix, and then press enter. Now we can see here is the result. We need to make sure here that the last backup is changed, and the last backup days ago is changed after we took the backup, just to make sure this point is cleared from the Testamo report. Okay, so this is the first point, we can pass it. Then the second point, I will stop here for a moment and come back to you guys, so wait for a moment, I will come back. So let's continue, guys. Now we are going to the second point, which is that the DHCP should not be installed on the same server that hosts the domain controller role. So the domain controller role and the DHCP should not be together on the same server. So I have already the DHCP installed on the additional domain controller. Okay, as a best practice, you need to separate the DHCP from any domain controller, but if you have limited amount of servers, I prefer to make the primary domain controller on a server without any additional roles or features installed on this server, then add the DHCP to the additional domain controller if you don't have enough servers. But if this is not the case and you have spare servers to work with, then you should remove the DHCP from the additional domain controller or on the server that is working as a domain controller, and then put it on another server. Okay, how we can migrate the DHCP from one server to another, I have two videos in my series that is called the Terminator Lab. You will see video number 16 and 17. There is a plan how we can migrate the DHCP without any disturbance in the operation or in your network operation, how this can be done very safely and very easy, how you can migrate the whole DHCP from one server to another in a short way and effective way. So I urge you all to see these two videos to see how you can migrate the DHCP from one server to another. You will use scripts, by the way. This is very simple, and it depends upon backing up the DHCP database and then restoring it back on the new server. These are all done in this series of videos, or these two videos. This will done using scripts. It's very easy and more faster than the normal GUI operation or using the graphical user interface. So let's see or continue working with or seeing the other points. So I think we can pass this already. I have already done that. So here, let's continue. Here is something how we can remove the DHCP. So not to remove, how we can know that the server that we are currently working on have the DHCP installed on it. So if I need to know if my domain controller has the DHCP feature installed on it, we can go and say this command, get Windows feature minus name DHCP. If we see that this is available, then it is not installed on the server. Okay, this is we run this command locally on the server. If you need to run this command on a remote server, we will add the computer name parameter and ask it to check if the feature of the DHCP is installed on the remote server. Let's see how this will be done. So we'll have the same command and then we'll put at the end minus computer name, okay, and put the server name to make sure if this server contains the DHCP feature installed on it. So after removing the feature, you can also run this again to make sure that it is completely removed. Okay, so now it will check. Here we can see that the additional domain controller has this selected and it is installed. Okay, so this is a way that you can know if the DHCP is currently installed on one of your domain controllers. And in the report itself, there is a couple of steps how you can remove the DHCP, but it is not that detailed. But prepare the DHCP removal, then move the DHCP service, then remove service from the domain controller. These are the steps, okay, and this will be done in my video. If you see my videos, this will be done. I have already these steps already done. So these are the steps, and then we can go further in the steps. Here we will see that we have an error concerning the replication of the schema partition from my additional domain controller to my primary domain controller. So the source DC is the additional domain controller and the destination DC is the primary domain controller. There is a problem with the schema partition. It was not replicated from my additional domain controller to my primary domain controller. So let's see how we can rectify this problem. Okay, first of all, this is the command you can use to see the forest replication or the replication of the database. You can use the repadmin, or you can use this custom command. Okay, so there is many ways that you can check the replication through the dcdiag replication test, or the repadmin repl summary command, or this PowerShell command. So you have already changed the forest, and then we can see the replication, and most of it, I think it is outbound and inbound, so it is a detailed data. I think he is using the repadmin to get this data. Anyway, so we can see here, this is the first, the configuration partition. Okay, and it is already replicated. Okay, the last successful replication was 7/7 in 2024. This is the partner. Okay, so the source and destination. The source is the additional and the destination is the primary. Okay, so we have seen that the configuration partition is replicated successfully from the additional domain controller to the primary domain controller. The domain partition as the same here. This is the domain partition, last successful. All of these are inbound, that is going to my primary domain controller. As for the schema, we will see here that the last replication was successfully at 4/7. Okay, so the schema partition was not replicated from my additional domain controller to my primary domain controller. Okay, so to do that, we simply will do a certain command. Let me show you all what this command will be. So not this one. So this is how we will do that, is to replicate. Here, this is the repadmin, replicate. This is the destination server, and this is the source server. Then we will define the partition that we need to replicate. So now we are taking these two, and this is the schema partition. I need to replicate the schema partition from my additional domain controller to my primary domain controller. If you press enter, now let's see how we can do that. As for the repadmin, this is replicate. Already this is done, so if you go further, let's go further like that. Here, this is the command. We will press enter so we can solve this problem. Now we have this replicated successfully. Let's run again the same command to see if we can rectify the error. If you go there and see the same partition, the last successful replication, if you go one by one, okay, we have seen the configuration, we have seen the domain partition. We need to see the schema partition. If you go to the schema partition, so you go there again. Okay, where is the schema? Here is the schema. Now it is replicated 7/7. So we have solved the problem that was focused, or that was reported by the Testamo report. So here we go. We can see that we have successfully replicated, and as we can see, there is various causes for this replication failure. Okay, maybe the server was down, maybe the server was busy. There is a lot of things actually. And as for the repl summary, as we can see, we have everything is in order. All of these, there is no errors, and we are now having a successful replication for the partition that was reported by the Testamo. Okay, so now we can go and complete the report. Okay, here we are. We will see another thing which is called optional features. Here we need to see, or we need to have certain features installed on our domain controllers. The recycle bin should be installed on our domain controllers so we can recover deleted items. Labs, this is local administrator password solution, which is a solution to, as we can see here, this is a password manager that utilize Active Directory to manage and rotate passwords for local administrator accounts across all of your Windows endpoints. This is already, or it was before, you need to install a certain software and do certain steps to make it available or to be linked to the Active Directory, and then from the Active Directory we can manage the local administrator accounts. Today this is already integrated, so from Windows 2016 I think, or 2019, the Labs is already integrated to the Active Directory. You will see a tab called Labs in every computer object, so it's already there, it's already integrated. Before that it was not integrated. But if we need to see the steps to update this, so for example this is installed by default now in the Active Directory, but if you need to update the Labs solution, we need to go to do certain steps. So if I show you all the Perplexity, if you go to Perplexity and ask it how we can install the Labs, okay, let me go and show you all this. Okay, he's saying that that requires certain features and it supports certain Windows operating systems, okay, and he's saying that I'm sure, okay, by the way, it is already integrated. If we go to the report and ask it, there is one thing here I can show you all concerning this one. If you go and show you this article, let's go to the article. It's saying that where it is, here it is, saying that Labs is now integrated into Windows. This is okay. We will see now that has integrated its local password solution directly into the Windows operating system with the April 2013 patch, so and so. So it's already there, I think, on, from April 2000 or in the update of April 2023. So you need to install the update if you need to integrate the Labs with your Active Directory. Okay. Okay, so it's saying that it has reported on problems this move by Microsoft brings non-English Windows systems. Just came across a blog post that outlines the steps to update Windows Server Active Directory schema for the current Windows Labs. Anyway, so what we need to do, first of all, if it's already there, so we have some steps. If it is not installed, or if the Labs is not installed, you need to go and download and install the April 2013 update. And if it is there already, you need to update the Labs solution. So let's see the steps. If you go to this article, here you go, this is the article, how to configure Labs. Okay, as we can see, there is a lot of steps. Let me show you all, or we can get a summary, or if we can get this content and ask the Copilot to summarize the page to make it more easy for us to make it, or to summarize what we should do. Okay, so let's see, how do I install and configure Labs? Okay, this is what should be the thing here. So here, these are the steps, and actually it was included in the URL. So let's see the answer here. First of all, here you go, let's read it loudly.
Certainly. Let's walk through the steps to install and configure Microsoft Labs Local Administrator Password Solution in your Active Directory environment. Prerequisites. Ensure that you have the necessary permissions to extend the Active Directory schema. Verify that the PowerShell module for Labs is available on your management machine. Schema extension. Run the following command on a machine with the Active Directory Schema master role. Import module admpwd.ps. Update admpwd schema. Permissions. Decide which organizational units, OUs, will store computer objects whose passwords you want to manage. Grant the necessary permissions to these OUs. Read permission for the MSMC-SADMPWD attribute. Write permission for the MSMC-SADMPWD expiration time attribute. Group policy settings. Create a new group policy object, GPO, or use an existing one. Configure the following settings under Computer Configuration Policies Administrative Templates Lapse. Enable password settings and set the password complexity requirements. Enable name of administrator account to manage and specify the desired account, e.g., administrator. Enable do not allow password expiration time longer than required by policy to enforce password rotation. Enable local admin password management to activate lapse. Verification. Apply the GPO to the relevant OUs. Run pupdate/force on the target computers to apply the policy. Verify that the MSMC-SADMPWD attribute is populated with a unique password for each computer. Remember to test the solution thoroughly in a non-production environment before deploying it to your entire network. Lapse provides a secure way to manage local administrator passwords, reducing the risk of credential exposure. If you encounter any issues during installation or configuration, feel free to ask for further assistance.
So these are the steps. There is other steps actually also. Here we can go also with the answer of Perplexity, which is a good one actually. So here, so I think the one for Copilot, if it is not installed by default, okay, or it is not, it's not there, okay. So let's see the answer here. So if you don't have it, okay, I think this solution will work. But let's see first here also another answer for Perplexity.
Configuring Windows Lapse in Active Directory. Prerequisites and considerations before configuring Windows Lapse in Active Directory. There are a few important prerequisites and considerations. Domain functional level, DFL full Windows Lapse features, including password encryption and directory services restore mode, DSRM, password encryption, require a DFL of 2016 or higher. If your DFL is below 2016, you will not be able to encrypt lapse passwords in AD or use lapse to encrypt your DSRM. Supported Windows versions. The supported Windows and Windows Server versions for using Windows Lapse are Windows 11 Professional, Education, or Enterprise, Windows 10 Professional, Education, or Enterprise, Windows Server 2022, and Windows Server Core 2022, Windows Server 2019. Steps to configure Windows Lapse. Check for the PowerShell module. Ensure the Lapse PowerShell module is available on your Windows Server 2019 or 2022 domain controllers. You can confirm this by running the command get command, module lapse. Extend the Active Directory schema. As a schema admin, run the following command to extend the AD schema with the required lapse attributes. PowerShell. Update lapse AD schema, verbose. This command will prompt you to confirm the schema extension. Type A to add all the necessary schema extensions. Verify the schema extension. Check the computer objects in Active Directory users and computers. You should see a new Lapse tab, though it will not be populated with data until you configure the necessary group policies. Set the AD Lapse computer permission. Grant the managed devices permission to update their own passwords. Run the following command, specifying the organizational unit, OU, where your managed devices are located. PowerShell. Set Lapse AD computer self-permission. Identity. You may need to use the full distinguished name of the OU if the simple name does not work. Configure Group Policy. Open the Group Policy Management Editor. Create a new computer configuration policy. Navigate to Computer Configuration. Configure the following required settings. Enable Local Admin Password Management. Enabled. Password settings. Configure the password age, length, and complexity as desired. Password Backup Directory. Specify where the lapse passwords should be stored, Active Directory or Azure AD. Verify the configuration. Wait for the group policy to be applied to the managed devices. Check the event logs on the managed devices for the lapse-related events, such as the successful password update, event ID 10018. Use the GetLapse AD Password PowerShell command to retrieve the lapse passwords from Active Directory. By following these steps, You have successfully configured Windows Labs in your Active Directory environment, allowing you to manage and secure the local administrator accounts on your Windows devices.
So this, I think, it should be done if it's not there already. Okay, so let me see something here. He's saying that after April 2013, now it is integrated. So what we need to do here was then automatically rolled out. So now is integrated. Okay, update Windows Server. So I came across the blog post how to update with the latest version. Okay, so I think here if it is already installed we need to update it. So here we say how to update Windows Server schema for the latest version of Labs. So if you have already the Labs installed after installing the April 2003 update, you need to update the Labs version. Okay, this is will be done using, let me see if it is the same one I have. Just wait for a moment. Okay, so I think this may be the one that we need to focus on. Okay, so we need to, in steps, we need to install the April 2023 update. Then we need to update the Labs. Okay, so the April 2023 update will install the Labs, and then we need to update the Labs version to the current or the latest version. Let's see how this will be done. So we need to confirm that the modules of the PowerShell concerning the Labs is already there. So I think I have already stated that, or we have seen that. Then update the schema. I think we have this one stated by Perplexity. Okay, and then to confirm the schema was updated, enter the following command. Okay, so I think this already was done by Perplexity. If we go and see Perplexity, I think he has given the same. Okay, so this is correct. So I think the same steps. I think this is the same steps. So we can confirm that Perplexity answer is the correct one. Ignore the answer of Copilot. This is an old one. Okay, so the recent one is this one. So to work with Labs, you need to install April 2023 update and then begin working with these steps we have said currently to update the Labs schema, and then to set the lab AD computer permissions, or to set the lab permissions on certain number of computers in your organizational unit in Active Directory, and then use the group policy to set the labs configuration or the labs setting. Okay, so if we go and continue with the documentation here, updating the schema. Okay, this is the output. Okay, correct. And then okay, so that's it. So basically that's we should do, just to install the April 2003 update and then update the Labs, and then configure a group policy and link it to an OU that we need to apply the Labs solution to these computers in this OU. But before that also we need to make sure that we have set the permissions, or to make the computers in this OU update their local administrator password in the Active Directory. Okay, so we need to make sure this one, grant the managed devices permission to update their own password. Okay, so this is very, very critical. Okay, so anyway, this is one way to do that. This is if we go to the report, if we go like that, so one of the things we need to enable Active Directory recycle bin and the Labs. I have seen how we can enable the Labs and the recycle bin. Let me show you all how this will be done from this video. So if you can go further. Okay, so here you go. This is we need to open or we need to run certain command. Okay, this command from the Testamo report, it will give us the features that are installed on the server. Here we will see that, okay, the recycle bin, you can see that the recycle bin is enabled, true, and the privileged access management, this is another solution that is used, but this is optional. This is a way that you can control the user rights in your environment, but this is optional. We need to make sure the recycle bin is enabled and labs is enabled both, but here I am sure they are enabled, but for certain reason this is not reflected in this output. Anyway, let's see how we can enable the recycle bin. You just need to enable it on one domain controller and it will be replicated to the other domain controllers. How we can do this? This is very simple. We need to go and open the Windows tools. Okay, then we need to open Active Directory Administrative Center, and then we need to right click the domain. Okay, and then here you can see enable recycle bin, and you need to wait for one replication to be done between the domain controllers, so this will be replicated to all of the domain controllers. Okay, this is one thing we need to make sure. So let's go and continue. Here if you go to not the server manager, if you go to the domain controllers, let me show something here. If you go to the Active Directory, okay, I didn't do anything actually. If I go and check my Active Directory, we will see labs is already there, so it's already installed. I have April 2003 update installed. Okay, if we open that, we can see here that the labs is there. Okay, but here you can use to expire the password, the DSRM account and password, so everything is working here, but you need to modify the permissions. Okay, so these computers can update their password in the Active Directory. Okay, this is already, we have stated it, so we can see this is the DSRM account because this is for the domain controller, so this is correct. As if you go to any computer, okay, one of these computers, here you go, this for these computers are not currently there, they are pre-staged, but they are not there, so we will see the options not working because they are not there. We can see here it is the current lab password, the local account name, and the local account password. You can play with the setting of the password, the complexity of the password from another group policy we will see now, and you can expire the password. So there is a lot of things. This is already there. Okay, so this is already there. We need only to update the labs version and set certain permissions for the computers in the OU to update their local administrator password, and then we need to confirm or to configure the group policy. Let's wait and see step by step how we can do that. So now what we need to do, we need to update the schema or update the labs version. Here is the command to do that. If you go further, let me go further to make it available. So now let's go there. Here you go. Let's wait and see. Okay, no, this is not the thing we need to do. Okay, again, just wait for a moment. Okay, so let's wait and see. So if you go there, okay, so first we need to ignore these steps. We need to update the schema. So this is the old one. Let me go there further and continue. Here you go. This is another thing we need to do here. This is what we need to do. We need to go and update the schema. This is the thing, or let me show you all the steps. So I have already the labs already installed, so we need to, what we need to do, we need, after we confirm it that the labs is there, we need to go and update the schema, or this is to update the labs to the latest version. Okay, this is the one that we need to do. Okay, so it's already there, we have seen that, then we need to update it. Okay, so we can continue now, go like that. Here we will get the command. Here is, I'm making sure that I have the labs already installed on the server. If it's not installed, then you need to install the April 2023 update. So here we can get the module. Okay, okay, we have the labs already there, so we need to update it, just that. Okay, so we need to update labs schema, so to update the labs to the latest version. So now we can go and do that and put minus verbose, so update minus labs AD schema. Okay, yes, but we need to add minus verbose because this will be an error. As we can see here, there will be an error. So to bypass that, we will do the same command but to put verbose, okay, at the end. So this to bypass this error. Okay, so we can go and add that. Here you go, again. So again, let me see, or let me show you all how this is done. Okay, so we can go further, update. Okay, just a moment, again. Okay, so here we will go and do the same command again, and okay, this is not what we are talking about. Let me go further. Okay, again, I need to get it correctly. So again, just wait for a moment, guys. Here you go. Let me show you all where is the correct command. Okay. So here, if you go and open, here is this the correct one. Okay. So copy and right click and paste. Okay, then tell him yes or yes to all. This will update the labs to the latest version. A. Okay, so now we have our labs already updated. Okay, so we need to set the permissions. So we need to choose a couple of computers so we can apply the labs on it. Okay, and give them the permissions to update their local password to the computer objects or to their computer objects in the Active Directory. So now we need to go to the second step. It is already there, we have seen that. Set the AD computer, as we can see here. Next, we need to set the OU or multiple OUs in which the computers will have permission to change their password. This command is so and so. You need to use the fully distinguished name. Let's see that now. So for example, I need to apply this to this OU, for example. So here is the OU I need to apply. These are all computers. I need to apply the labs to it. As you can see, here is the labs tab. So we need to configure or give permissions to the computers to apply or to update their password in the Active Directory. So we need the distinguished name for this OU. Copy. Okay, and then paste. But before that, we need to paste it here and then get the name of the OU, the distinguished name. We will see how we can get that. Okay, so we can right click and then properties and get the distinguished name. So we can go to the attribute and then get the distinguished name. Here is it. Here it is. We can copy it. Okay, and then we need to paste it. Then if we press enter, now it is already there. It's already done. We need to configure the group policy and attach it to this OU. So the labs setting will be applied to this computers. Okay, so we can go and create a group policy and attach it to this OU. Okay, this group policy we can configure it to back up the local administrator passwords to the Active Directory or to the Azure, and the password setting if we need the local administrator password to be for example password length 14 characters and the password age or maximum password age, and a lot of things actually we can do. So all of this will be done using the group policy. So now we can go and create a group policy. This is not the thing here. We can go to the features. I think still he is not feeling that the labs is enabled even though we have done all of the required steps. So we can go and here we go to the mainframe and create a group policy called labs. Okay, and then we can configure it. Right click and edit. Then we can go to the computer section or computer configuration. Okay, let's wait for a moment, guys. So let's continue, guys. Here we can see that how this we can configure the labs from the administrative templates. Here is the system and then labs. Okay, we can see here is the labs. Now we can configure, you can encrypt the password. Okay, you can back up the DSRM password. Okay, here you can configure backup password. Here you can back it up to the Azure Active Directory or back up it to the Active Directory. Okay, so the password will be backed up to the Active Directory. And then applying OK. And then the password setting, you can work with it. So we can make the password policy to match our domain password policy, but we need to make it more harder. So we can, this is the local administrator password. In general, the administrative accounts should have a different password policy than the normal user accounts. Okay, so this is it. We can configure it, and then you can add additional features. You can encrypt the password. You can back up the DSRM accounts. This will only be active on the domain controller. Configure size of encrypted password. So all of these are optional. You can work with them. You can read the article and see if you need to configure any of these options. You can rename the local administrator account, which is also one of the best practices to rename the administrator account from administrators to any other thing, and then you can run GP update to update or to enforce the group policy. Okay, so now we can, but this should be done on the computers. Okay, but let's assume that you are on a computer, on the OU, one of the computers in the mainframe's OU. So you can press enter. And now I think it is there already. It is already reflected. So we can go and see the other things. But before going further, let me see other thing here. One of the things this point talks about is to do something called privileged access management enable. What is privileged access management? It is a solution that helps organizations restrict privileged access within an existing directory environment. Consider introducing Privel or PAM to your environment. If you go to this URL and ask ChatGPT to maybe summarize it, if you go there and tell him select all or select these and tell him to do like that and copy and tell him summarize, if you go there tell him explain in simple terms, in simple or in layman terms, to explain what is uh, the privilege access management. Okay, so let's see the answer of ChatGPT here.
Understanding Privileged Access Management, PAM, for Active Directory Domain Services. Privileged Access Management, PAM, is a system that helps organizations control and protect high-level access to their Active Directory AD environments. It addresses issues related to the misuse or theft of privileged account credentials, which are often targeted by attackers. What problems does PAM solve? 1. Preventing unauthorized access. Attackers can easily steal domain admin credentials, giving them unrestricted access to the network. PAM makes it harder for them to gain such access. 2. Monitoring and control. It increases visibility and control over who has privileged access and what they are doing with it. This helps in detecting and responding to suspicious activities promptly. How does PAM work? PAM introduces a more secure way of managing privileged accounts by 1. Isolating privileged accounts. Privileged accounts are separated from the regular AD environment into a secure, isolated environment known as a bastion forest. This bastion forest is protected from attacks and only used for managing privileged access. 2. Just-in-time access. Instead of having constant access, users request privileged access when needed. If approved, they get temporary access, which expires after a set period, reducing the risk of credentials being stolen and misused. Setting up PAM. Setting up PAM involves 4 key steps. 1. Prepare. Identify and recreate privileged groups in the Bastion Force without members. 2. Protect. Implement security measures for when users request privileged access. 3. Operate. Once a request is approved, the user is temporarily added to the privileged group. 4. Monitor. Track and audit all privileged access requests and activities to ensure they are legitimate. How do users request privileged access? Users can request privileged access through various methods, such as MIM Services Web Services API, REST Endpoint, Windows PowerShell. Example of PAM in action. Imagine an organization with a user named Jen who needs to manage the HR database. Under PAM, Jen no longer has constant admin access. Instead, she requests access when needed. 1. Request. Jen submits a request for admin access to the HR database. 2. Approval. The request is reviewed and approved based on predefined policies. 3. Temporary access. Jen's admin account is temporarily added to the privileged group in the Bastion Forest. 4. Expiration. After a set period, Jen's access is automatically revoked. Benefits of PAM: improved security. By isolating privileged accounts and limiting their use, PAM reduces the risk of credential theft and misuse. Enhanced monitoring. Detailed logging and monitoring help in detecting and responding to unauthorized activities. Controlled access. Just-in-time access ensures that users have the minimum necessary access for the shortest time needed. Key takeaways. PAM helps organizations secure and control privileged access to their Active Directory environments. It involves creating a separate, secure environment for managing privileged accounts and using just-in-time access to minimize risk. Regular monitoring and auditing ensure that all activities are tracked and unauthorized actions are identified quickly. In essence, PAM provides a robust framework for managing high-level access in a secure and controlled manner, helping to safeguard critical IT infrastructure from potential threats.
So if we go to this point in the report, he's saying that the PAM is optional. So he is focusing on the Active Directory recycle bin. If you go there and see the things here, is saying that the following test verifies availability of recycle bin, labs, and PAM. While labs and recycle bin are quite critical for properly functioning the Active Directory, PAM is just a recommendation. It is not so easily to implement. So therefore, only 2 of 3 tests are considered critical. Okay, so if you don't have PAM, this is not something to get worried about. Okay, there is a lot of solutions concerning the privileged access management. There is a lot, for example, Symantec have a solution like that. So if we ask it to give us third party solutions concerning PAM. There is CyberArk. This is a program. There is Beyond the Trust. There is Tycotech, Sentry Privileged Access, Manage Engine PAM 360, One Identity Safeguard, Walex Bastion. So all of these are third-party solutions, provide a range of features and benefits tailored to enhance the security and management of privileged accounts within an organization. Each solution has its strengths, and the choice depends upon your organizational needs. Okay, so this is one thing to focus on. Let me do something here. Let me ask Claude the same question. If you go there and ask it the same, but before that I need to do something here. Let's go and copy the text and ask. If we go there like that, if you go to privilege, here you go, tell him to do like that, and okay, like that, and copy, and then tell him okay, explain in layman terms. Okay, and then press enter. So this is his answer. Let's see. Okay. Okay, let's see the answer. I think he is giving a good example how to explain the PAM. If we go like that and ask it to read it loudly, this is how he explained the PAM. Okay, let's go like that and tell him to read it loudly.
ND when they'll
Okay, just wait for a moment.
backing.
Let's read it loudly like that. Okay.
Sure. I'll explain the key points of Privileged Access Management, PAM, in simple terms. The problem. Imagine Matrix Corp has a big office building. Some employees have master keys, privileged access, to all rooms. If a bad guy steals one of these master keys, they can access everything. The solution, PAM, is like creating a super secure vault for these master keys. Now, instead of carrying master keys all the time, employees have to go to this vault when they need one. How it works. Preparation. Matrix Corp identifies all the master keys and puts them in the vault. Protection. They set up rules for who can access the vault and when. Operation. When an employee needs a master key, they ask permission. If approved, they get the key for a limited time. Monitoring. Every time someone uses the vault, it's recorded in a logbook. The vault, Bastion Forest. Matrix Corp creates a separate, super secure building, Bastion Forest, to house the vault. The main office building, original Active Directory, and the secure building can communicate, but they're separate. Using the keys. Let's say Jen from HR needs to access confidential files. She requests access through the system MIM. If approved, she gets a temporary pass to use the master key. After a set time, her pass expires automatically. Benefits. It's harder for bad guys to steal master keys. Matrix Corp always knows who's using the master keys and why. If something goes wrong, they can quickly figure out what happened. Important note, this specific PAM system, MIM-PAM, is best for companies that need to be extra secure and don't connect to the internet. For most companies that do use the internet, there are other recommended solutions. Start new chat. In essence, PAM is like having a very strict librarian guarding the most important books. You can read them, but only after explaining why, getting approval, and promising to return them quickly. This way, the library always knows who has which important book and when they'll bring it back.
Okay, let's ask it the same question to give us solutions or third party. So I think the same, he is giving us the same products, but here is one thing actually that got my mind. Okay, is best for companies do not yet access the net. For most companies that do use the internet, we need to ask it explain what solutions do what solution do you mean, name some. So he's saying the spam is used with systems that are closed and don't get access to the internet. You can use spam. So here, this is one good answer here. He's saying that central, I have mentioned before that for most companies that do use the internet, there are other recommended solutions other than PAM. I was referring to more modern cloud-ready privileged access management solution. Here are some of the recommended solutions for internet-connected environments. Microsoft Entra Privileged Identity Management. Yes, this is correct. Azure AD Privilege Access Management, AWS Identity Access Management, Google Cloud Identity Aware Proxy, OCA. Okay, so there is privileged access management solutions for the cloud or for companies that access the internet, and there is PAM solutions for closed systems that doesn't have access to the internet. So there are two PAM solutions, okay? One for closed environments and one for open environment or that environments that access the internet. So what we need to do now, we will stop at this point, okay, which is optional features. In the upcoming video, we will discuss other points in the diagram, even though, or in the report, even though if we have passed it, but discussing these points help us to understand the Active Directory more and more. Hope this video informative to you all, and thank you all for viewing. Thank you so much.